Hello, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do your April the 18th just for today in a meditation. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. The title of the meditation is I Understand. We humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 7. Once we are entirely ready to have our character defects removed, many of us are entirely ready. Ironically, that's when the trouble really starts. The more we struggle to rid ourselves of a particular defect, the stronger that shortcoming seems to become. It is truly humbling to realize that not only are we powerless over our addiction, but even over our own defects of character. Let me repeat that. It is truly humbling to realize that not only are we powerless over our addiction, but even over our own defects of character. That sounds better. I am losing my voice, so bear with me, please. Finally, it clicks. The seventh step doesn't suggest that we rid ourselves of our shortcomings, but that we ask our higher power to rid us of them. The focus of our daily prayers begins to shift. Admitting our inability to perfect ourselves, we plead with our higher power to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And we wait. For many days, our program may stay on step 7. We may experience no sudden, total relief from defects, but we often do experience a subtle shift in our perceptions of ourselves and others. Through the eyes of the 7th step, we begin to see those around us in a less critical way. We know that, just like us, many of them are struggling with shortcomings they would dearly love to be rid of. We know that, just like us, they are powerless over their own defects. We wonder if they, too, humbly pray to have their defects removed. We begin evaluating others as we have learned to evaluate ourselves with an empathy born of humility. As we watch others and as we keep watch on ourselves, we can finally say, I understand. Just for today, God, help me see through the eyes of step 7. Help me understand. Powerful. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So here's my experience with step 7, and you probably can relate. The title of this meditation is I Understand. So I found myself being entirely ready to have my anger removed from me. And my anger was completely born of fear, right? So I would use anger like a tool to wield my sword around to make sure that whatever I was fearing was less likely to happen, right? People don't, generally speaking, like to deal with angry people. And for some reason, I would just, the smallest of things would trigger me. And I would go into this anger very quickly. And I would try to shut the room down with my expressions of anger. Okay, so here I am, entirely ready, seeing that people don't know what to expect when I enter a room. They're very timid around me and not willing to just be them true selves. Okay. So I'm impacted by this because I am in recovery and I am changing and I have a higher power that I claim to love. So why would you have to be so timid in my presence? And then someone told me, a very good friend told me, he said, all of those people, They're afraid of you. And I'm not sure if that's how you really intend to come across, but the way you talk shuts people down before they even get started. Now, I know you personally, and I don't think that's who you want to come across as, especially being that you claim to love God and such and such and such and such. And he went on for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I realized that my go-to was the wrong go-to. My go-to, my MO, the thing that I used to back people away from me was turning itself on me. I wasn't intending to alienate other people, but that's exactly what was going on. And I began to realize, oh, okay. Well, I wonder when I was in this situation, if those people that said I'm hard to get to know, if that's exactly what they were trying to insinuate, that they were just afraid to interact with me because of my known responses to things. And I began to ruminate over that. And I realized fear is a character defect you truly need to be rid of. And I am tired of relationships being ruined or not even having a chance to bud because of this history, this pattern, this reputation I have of being angry and expressing anger. And they really don't even know it's not anger, it's fear. They know nothing about the fact that I operated out of fear mostly. Okay. So when I began to pray and humbly ask God to remove the shortcomings, it seemed like I could sense before I would even have an angry expression, I could sense myself about to snap, about to go off. And I'm telling you, it seemed like blood was coming from my tongue. I would bite down so hard, trying to get myself to resist. And then they would say that one little thing that they would say, and the floodgates of my mouth and my anger, and my fear would just fly. And I would give them what they had coming. And then this time, though, shortly, and I do mean shortly after, I would feel so remorseful. I would feel shame. I would feel guilt. You did it again. You used your mouth to destroy an innocent bystander. They have no idea what you're dealing with. They have no idea who you are. But you use your words, your anger, your fear to slice them to pieces. And I would be consumed with this remorse. And I would cry and I would cry and I would pray and I would cry. And when I would think, oh, this could never happen again, I mean, this affected me so negatively, spiritually, this could not possibly come back up again. And you know what? It would happen again. And I was like, what is going on? Am I losing my mind? Why can't I refrain from giving it to them the way I think they deserve it? Why can I not refrain from expressing myself so angrily? I couldn't figure it out. And I just got to the point where I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to work for anyone. I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't want to do any service work. I could no longer trust myself to refrain. And this was my second sponsor that I was going through my step 7 with. And she said to me, girl, look at me. She said, you and I both know you're not that bad. You're not that bad. You talk tough, but you're not that bad. And you might want people to think you're crazy, but you and I both know you're not that crazy. Listen, here's the problem with this 7th step. You're trying to help God remove it, and He never asked you for your help. more you try, the worse it gets, right? And I said, yes. She said, stop trying. You're the type of person, you give it to God and then you take it back. And the taking it back is what's killing you. Stop taking it back. Give it to God and allow God to stir you, to move you, to cause you not to act in that manner. After you give it to God and you humbly ask God for the removal of your shortcomings, stop trying to control it. And you'll find before you know it, you won't have those responses anymore. And I said, well, what do I have to lose? I'm not gaining anything trying to do it on my own. And if that meant a couple other people had to get cussed out in the meantime, well, I'm just going to stop trying to control it myself. See, I was so worried about my image and I would lose it. I would stuff these feelings, stuff. And then an innocent bystander would get it all. But in the process of humbly asking God to remove my shortcomings, you know what I learned? I learned that my ability to willingly and honestly communicate to people what I truly was feeling, because I didn't want them to think I couldn't handle something, needed some work. So today, I handle self-care. I handle speaking up for myself. I handle drawing boundaries where I need to so that people understand that this right here is a boundary. Like, no, you're not going to call me at a certain hour and you know I already have insomnia. You're not going to do that because I need my rest. Instead of what I used to do, I'm up all night anyway, call me if you need to talk. No, I need as much rest as possible. And so I learned how to start communicating what was going on with me better. And as a result, there were less opportunities that I felt fearful about the results, angry because I couldn't control what was going on. And I had fewer and fewer and fewer outbursts. Now, that's not to say I don't still have some, but I have far fewer than I have ever had. And that's my experience, Strength and Hope. I'd love to hear what yours is. I enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. Do that.